Hello and welcome back. In this video I'm going to show you how to submit a claim in the tribunal. So essentially what we're going to do is complete the ET1. I've given you two documents in this module which I suggest you read through, and it's just some general information. I'm going to run through those really quickly and then I'm going to actually bring a dummy claim online, completing the ET1 and just showing you the key steps. So the first document, bringing a claim, how to make a claim in the Employment Tribunal. Just read through this. I'm not going to take you through it in much detail because all you need to do is read it. I show you where you can get the ET1 and I show you how you can submit it online, which we're going to go on in a minute. There's three ways to submit a claim in the ET1. Number one, by post. I'll give you the address. Number two, in person, and I'll give you some warnings there. Only some centres accept claims in person, so check in advance. And online. Now I'm presuming you're going to do this online, and that's the only way I'm going to show you how to do it, because if you're able to watch this video, an online course, then I've made, I think, a safe presumption that you'll be able to submit the ET1 online. I'll give some key points, do things carefully, but just read through those. The other document you've got is just some general information. Some of it's similar. Again, I'll show you how to submit the claim online, where to go, and then the difference in this document is I'll go through each section of the ET1 and just outline what needs to be completed. So maybe read that in advance of completing your own ET1. There's some tips there, some general information, just look through it. At the bottom of this document I talk again about bringing a claim against an individual in a discrimination case. So just look through that, some cons and pros, so advantages and disadvantages of that process. So look through there. If you've got a discrimination claim and you're thinking about bringing a claim against one of the individuals involved that you allege discriminated against you, check this first, read through it and see what you think. So you can follow the link in any of the documents by pressing Control and hitting that button. This takes you to where you submit the claim. There's some other information here, so obviously start now to make the claim, but there's some other things here that are helpful. The first is the fees. So if you're going to submit the claim online, you need a debit card to pay the claim fee, or also known as the issue fee. It's got the amounts here. So for these types of claims it's $250. Most of them are $250. So you're claiming unfair dismissal and or discrimination, then it's $250. If you're just claiming for lost wages or redundancy pay or breach of contract, then it's $160. And you see the hearing fee isn't due until later. The tribunal will write to you and tell you that, and that's lower, $230. For these types of claims it's higher, $950. You might also apply for remission. I've done a separate module on that, so check that out afterwards. But if you indicate later in this document or on a different screen that you're applying for remission, then you don't have to pay the fee. So that you might think about an advantage if paying the fee is difficult for you, but you check the rules and you don't think you're going to qualify for remission, you could still submit the claim and make the application for remission, and if it fails you get given time to pay it later. So one tactic is, if you're trying to buy yourself some additional time to pay the fee, you could put in the application anyway and hope that you pass, and if you don't, then you get given additional time to make the fee. If not, then you need your debit card. It's the only way to do it, debit or credit card. You input the details and you pay it online, and we'll get to that screen shortly. So let's do a dummy claim. Start now. So this is a reminder about early ACAS conciliation. Have you gone through that process? Unless you've got one of the exceptions, which are fairly limited, then you've probably gone through early ACAS conciliation. If you haven't, you need to, and I've done a module on that. So this is a reminder. You need the ACAS early conciliation certificate number. If you click this link, it explains what that is, but you'll need that. So you'll need the certificate that ACAS emailed or posted to you at the conclusion of the conciliation process. So this is just some general information. Some information up here about the fees and applying for a reduction. So what I didn't mention actually is remission. You can get a reduction in the fee in some circumstances, so you have to qualify for that, or you can qualify for an exemption of the fees, so you don't pay anything. So start a claim. I'm not going to put an email address in because this is a dummy, but if you are using one, I would. when you complete the form, it will email you a copy of it. So I'd put in your email address here, and then here, if you don't complete the form and you do some of it, go away, come back, this is what the memorable word is for. So I'm just going to put an example, but here I go with what it normally says and put in the surname. So if I'm doing it for a client, I'll put in their surname. So the first page, this information is required and it's your contact details. So I'm just going to make this up. So just look through this carefully. If you do have a disability and you require assistance, put that in here. This is your contact details. So again, this needs to be accurate, it needs to be exactly right, so double check everything. This postcode here is the one that the tribunal will let you put in if you're living abroad, but I'm doing it now just because it's an example. So these ones here are optional, but I'd put them in. Sometimes the tribunal may need to ring you about something, usually logistical, so I'd put it in there. Here you've got an option. Do you want them to correspond with you via email or by post? Again, that's your preference. I always put email, and if you put email, then you have to fill this in. So I'm going to put post because I don't have to make up an email address for this example. But if you do want some email, then you put it in here. So let's select post. So people making a claim with you, this screen is only relevant if this is a class action. So there's more than one claimant bringing the same sort of claim. So there might be a few of you with dismissed in some circumstances. There might be 10 of you all saying you're owed a certain bonus payment, something like that. But I'm going to put no and presume that's the case. But if there is, then you click yes, and then you fill out the additional details of the extra claimants. But that again is a rare occurrence. So is there someone representing you? Now I'm presuming no, because otherwise you wouldn't be watching this video, I presume. But if yes, the representative would fill this in, or more than likely your representative would be doing this for you. So you click no, save and continue. So the respondent's details, again, this has to be accurate. Check letters, your contract, put in the name of the address. This is the address that the tribunal will be writing to. Again, I'm making this up. I'm going to see if it accepts that same postcode. If not, I'll make one up. Phone number optional if you have it. So here it says your work address. So here you might be putting the main contact details, i.e. their head office or their main trading address, or the official address of the limited company. For example, if it's a big company, you may not work at that address, you may be based somewhere else. So if it's the same, you click yes. If it's no, then you put in the details. The reason this is important is that the tribunal that's allocated your claim is generally the closest to the postcode you put in here. So if the head office is in London, but you were based in Manchester, you would want to make sure that you put in the Manchester address, so the Manchester tribunal deal with the claim. Otherwise, it will be allocated to one of the London tribunals that's closest to this postcode up here. So I'm going to just put yes for an example, but if you've got a different work address, put it in here. So this is where you put in the ACAS early conciliation certificate number, which I'll show you in a different module, but you put it in exactly how it appears on that certificate here. If one of the exemptions apply, you tick this box. I'm going to just make one up because I don't have a certificate and it rejects it if you put it in a different format. If I type in something random there, it doesn't let me go forward. So if you don't have one, and these are the relevant exceptions, you apply here. If you get to this stage and you don't have one of the exceptions and you haven't conciliated, then you need to conciliate, otherwise your claim is going to be rejected or you can't get past this screen. But again, I'll talk about this in another module. So you continue. So if you're bringing a claim against more than one respondent, this is where you put in the details here. For example, your claim might involve a TUPE transfer, and there's a claim against the previous company and the company you TUPE'd afterwards. You may have more than one employer. Or if it's a discrimination claim and you're bringing it against an individual, again, this is you put it here. So you do yes, and you put in the names of the different respondents. Again, you're asked for the ACAS number. That's the same ACAS certificate number, type of number, but you have a different number. So like I explained in the module, if you're bringing a claim against more than one respondent, you have to conciliate against each respondent, and at the conclusion of that process you'll be giving a different ACAS number. So make sure you do it right. The one you put in before was probably your employer. Get the correct certificate number for that one. Here, respondent 2. Let's use discrimination example. If you've brought the claim against an individual, this is where you'd bring the claim, the details of the individual and the different ACAS number. If you don't have the ACAS number for the individual, then the claim may be rejected and won't be able to proceed. So it's not too late if your claim's still in time to conciliate now and get that number. But this is where you put in the details. So I'm going to put no, save and continue. This is where you tick the box for the type of claim that you're looking to bring. So it's important you get this right. If, for example, later on reading the details of the claim, there's an argument of whether you're pursuing such a claim and you've ticked this box, then this is a point for you to say, well, I ticked the box. I may have not given enough details, but I ticked the box. So go through this carefully, tick the box. And if you feel it doesn't appear, then put it here. But this is generally the main claims. So I'm going to click unfair dismissal. If you're bringing more than one claim, you can tick more than one. So do that. So take your time here and go through them all. This is where you put in the details of the claim. So I've talked about this in the particulars of claim module. This is the box you would type in. But I've presumed if you've taken my advice, you've completed a particulars of claim, which is saved in RTF format, because if it's not, it won't upload. So you click here, upload the document, choose the file, and wherever it's saved, you find it, save it somewhere that's easy to find, and then you double click on it, and it will upload, and then that's it. Make sure you've done it properly. It gives you some information here, save as, export to, rich text format. I've explained how you do that as well. So yeah, make sure it's RTF, upload. If not, you can fill in the details of your claim here, and there's a box. So I'm going to put in some details there so it lets me move on to the screen. So this box here, again, is optional, but if there's someone else that's making a claim that's very similar to yours and you know about it, you can put details here. The reason this is asked for is sometimes the tribunal will consolidate, so I herd together very similar claims. If they're from the same employer, obviously. You won't be lumped with someone just because it's broadly similar. If there was two of you dismissed in the same redundancy process, for example, and you both bring a claim for unfair dismissal, the tribunal may feel it's better for that to be heard together rather than having two separate hearings. But again, that's unlikely. Tick no, save and continue. So this screen is optional. What are you looking for? Now, if you know that you're only asking for compensation, then tick the box. You can fill this in. I generally leave this blank, or I'll tick what we're asking for because we should know this, but leave the specifics later. If you're asking for reinstatement or re-engagement, I would tick these boxes because it's relevant in the legislation if the respondent was put on notice, and this is a way to put them on notice. So if you're definitely or even thinking about asking for your old job back or a similar job within the same company, tick these boxes and tick compensation as well, because you're probably asking for both. So if in doubt, you can leave it blank. There's nothing being held against you apart from asking for your old job back, and so reinstatement and then re-engagement, a similar job. I'd think about that and tick those boxes now. If not, you can very happily leave this blank. So yes, so think about that, tick the boxes. I wouldn't here necessarily try and fill in how much money you're wanting for, unless you know. If this is a wages claim and you know exactly what the wages are, then you could click compensation, and then if the wages are 5,000, then you put that in. That's fine. So save and continue. This is additional information that you might think is relevant. It's a box, you can fill it in. Generally no, you would have had everything on the particulars of claim, but if, say for example, you get to this point and there's something missing from the particular claim and you've already uploaded the document and you don't want to amend it, you could add that here, for example. So this is just a final opportunity to add anything else you think is relevant. And that's it. So this is where you would pay for the fees. If you're applying for remission, you can click yes, and then you can still submit it. And it explains here that you only have 7 days from this date to submit your application for remission, which I'll go through in another module. Or if you tick no and save and continue, you'll go to a payment page. So it says 250 because we clicked unfair dismissal. If we ticked wages claim only, it'd say the lower fee 160. There's more information about fees if you want it. So save and continue. Here, check your claim. It lists all of the details, so I'd go through this very carefully, and if you want to do it, you can edit it here. But go through, make sure everything's correct, and then submit claim and proceed to payment. Pay issue fee. Then all you do is input the credit card details in the same way you would if you purchase anything online. It starts to think, and if the payment is accepted, then that's it, your claim is submitted. You'll go to a screen where there's a reference number. Obviously can't show you that because I'm not going to pay. You also get sent an email if you put an email address at the start with the actual form you completed, so that's important. And that's it. You then wait until the next stage. The respondent or respondents are given 28 days from the day the tribunal notify them of your claim. So the tribunal will write to them. It won't be immediate, it's generally a day or two. Sometimes it's up to a week, but it's most commonly a day or two. So they'll send them the ET1 form, which we've just completed online, and also the particulars of claim, if there is one. And they'll get that 28 days. It will be clear on the document how long they've got to do the response. They put in their response, and then the case continues from there. I'll explain exactly how the process unfolds in later modules, but that's it. Hopefully that helps. It shows you how to submit an ET1 online and get the process started. If you do follow this and complete it, then I wish you the very best of luck with your case. Thanks a lot.